You are being outworked by people less talented than you. Let me say that again. You are being outworked by people less talented than you. And the reason has nothing to do with intelligence, opportunity, or genetics. It has everything to do with a skill that nobody talks about, because most people don't even know it exists. This skill is invisible. You cannot see it on a resume. You cannot measure it with a test. You cannot fake it with motivation quotes or morning routines. But every single person who has achieved extraordinary success has mastered it. And every single person who is stuck, struggling, and frustrated has not. I am talking about invisible discipline, the ability to do what needs to be done without anyone watching, without immediate rewards, without external pressure, and without your feelings cooperating. This is not about willpower. Willpower is a finite resource that runs out by lunchtime. This is not about motivation. Motivation is an emotion that comes and goes like the weather. This is about building an internal operating system that makes the right actions automatic, regardless of how you feel or what is happening around you. Right now, you are losing to people who have less natural ability than you. They are getting the promotions you deserve. They are building the businesses you dream about. They are living the lives you want. And the only difference between you and them is invisible discipline. They have it. You do not. But here is the good news. Invisible discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you build. And by the time you finish this audiobook, you will understand exactly how to build it. You will learn the neuroscience behind why most people fail at discipline and how to rewire your brain for automatic success. You will discover the specific daily systems that make discipline invisible and effortless. You will understand how to maintain consistency when motivation disappears and how to keep going when everyone else quits. Most importantly, you will learn how to become the kind of person who does hard things easily, while others struggle to do easy things at all. This is not theory. This is not positive thinking. This is a systematic approach to becoming someone who operates at a level that seems impossible to everyone who has not learned these principles. Chapter 1: Why Talented People Fail and Average People Win. The world is full of talented failures, people with high IQ scores working low-level jobs, people with natural charisma struggling in relationships, people with creative genius never finishing their projects, people with incredible potential living mediocre lives. If you look around, you will notice something disturbing. Talent does not predict success. Intelligence does not predict success. Even opportunity does not predict success. The correlation between natural ability and actual achievement is shockingly weak. Meanwhile, there are people with average intelligence, average talent, and average circumstances who are achieving extraordinary results. They are not smarter than you. They are not more creative than you. They are not luckier than you. But they are beating you. And the reason comes down to one thing. They have mastered invisible discipline while you are still relying on visible effort. Let me explain the difference. Visible effort is what you do when people are watching. It is performing well during the job interview. It is working hard when your boss is in the office. It is being motivated when you first start a new goal. It is the behavior you can point to and say, "Look how hard I am trying." Visible effort feels good because it gets recognition. People praise you for it. You get credit for it. It makes you feel like you are making progress. But visible effort is also unreliable. because it depends on external factors. When the audience disappears, so does the effort. Invisible discipline is completely different. It is what you do when nobody is watching. It is the work you put in when there is no immediate reward. It is the decisions you make in private that nobody will ever know about. It is choosing the hard right thing over the easy wrong thing when there are no consequences for choosing wrong. It is showing up consistently, even when you do not feel like it, even when progress is invisible, even when nobody notices or cares. Invisible discipline does not feel good in the moment. There is no applause. There is no recognition. There is no dopamine hit. It is just you and the work and the decision to do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. This is why most talented people fail. They have learned to perform when it matters, when people are watching, when there are immediate consequences. But they never learn to perform when it does not seem to matter, when nobody is watching, when the consequences are distant and abstract. They can sprint when the race is on, but they cannot train in the dark when nobody is keeping score. Average people who develop invisible discipline beat talented people who rely on visible effort every single time. Because success is not built during the big moments. Success is built during the thousands of small moments when you choose discipline over comfort and nobody is there to witness it. Think about the last time you failed to achieve a goal. I guarantee the failure did not happen during the visible moments. It did not happen during your first workout when you were excited and motivated. It happened during workout number 15 when you were tired and nobody cared whether you went or not. It did not happen during your first day of the new business when you were full of energy and optimism. It happened 3 months later, when progress was slow, and you had to decide whether to keep going or quit. It did not happen when your boss was watching your performance. It happened when you were alone and had to choose between doing the difficult preparation work or scrolling social media. The failure happened in the invisible moments. And this is the brutal truth that nobody wants to accept. You are not failing because you lack talent. You are failing because you lack invisible discipline. You have built your entire approach to achievement around external motivation, visible effort, and short-term thinking. You wait until you feel motivated to take action. You work hard when people are watching. You start strong, but quit when things get difficult and boring. You need deadlines and pressure and accountability to perform. This approach guarantees mediocrity because you are only working a fraction of the time. You are only disciplined when conditions are perfect. You are only consistent when you feel like it. Meanwhile, people with invisible discipline are working all the time. Not because they are more motivated, not because they have more willpower, but because they have built systems that make the right actions automatic. They do not wait for motivation. They do not need external pressure. They do not require perfect conditions. They have internalized the behaviors that lead to success so deeply that not doing them feels wrong. This is the skill that separates winners from everyone else, and it is completely invisible until you know what to look for. When you see someone who is consistently successful across multiple areas of their life, you are not seeing talent. You are seeing invisible discipline. When you see someone who keeps getting promoted while more talented people stay stuck, you are not seeing politics or luck. You are seeing invisible discipline. When you see someone who maintains their fitness builds their business, and nurtures their relationships all at the same time, you are not seeing superhuman capability. You are seeing invisible discipline. The question is, how do you build it? Because nobody teaches this skill. Your parents did not teach it. Your school did not teach it. Your job does not teach it. You are expected to figure it out on your own. And most people never do. They spend their entire lives wondering why their talent is not translating into results. They blame external circumstances. They blame other people. They blame bad luck. But the real problem is internal. They never develop the invisible discipline that makes success inevitable. Chapter 2. The Neuroscience of Automatic Behavior. Your brain is designed to conserve energy. This is not a flaw. It is a feature that kept your ancestors alive when food was scarce and every calorie counted. Your brain represents only 2% of your body weight, but consumes 20% of your energy. So your brain is constantly looking for ways to operate more efficiently. The primary way your brain conserves energy is through automation. When you repeat a behavior enough times, your brain moves that behavior from conscious processing in the prefrontal cortex to automatic processing in the basal ganglia. This is why you can drive a car while having a conversation. Why you can walk without thinking about each step. Why you can type without looking at the keyboard. These behaviors started as conscious, effortful actions, but through repetition, they became automatic. Your brain created neural pathways that fire automatically when triggered by specific cues. This process is called habit formation, and it is the foundation of invisible discipline. Here is what most people misunderstand about discipline. They think discipline is about forcing yourself to do things you do not want to do. They think it requires constant willpower and motivation. They think it is a battle between what you should do and what you want to do. This understanding is completely wrong, and it is why their discipline always fails. True discipline is not about force. It is about automation. It is about making the right behaviors so automatic that they require no conscious effort at all. When discipline becomes automatic, it becomes invisible. You are not fighting against your desires. You are not forcing yourself to do hard things. You are simply executing behaviors that your brain has accepted as normal and necessary. This is why some people seem to have effortless discipline, while others struggle constantly. The people with effortless discipline have automated the right behaviors. The people who struggle are still trying to use willpower and motivation to force behaviors that have not been automated. Your brain has 3 types of behavior patterns: conscious behaviors that require active thinking and decision-making, habitual behaviors that are triggered automatically by specific cues, and compulsive behaviors that are so deeply wired that not doing them creates discomfort. Most people operate primarily from conscious behaviors. They wake up every day and consciously decide whether to work out, whether to work on their goals, whether to eat healthy food, whether to do the difficult tasks they have been avoiding. Every single one of these decisions requires willpower, and willpower is a limited resource. By the time you have made dozens of these decisions, your willpower is depleted. This is called decision fatigue. And it is why you start the day with good intentions, but end the day eating junk food and watching Netflix. People with invisible discipline operate differently. They have moved the important behaviors from conscious decision-making to automatic habit execution. They do not decide whether to work out. They automatically work out at the same time every day without thinking about it. They do not decide whether to work on their most important task. They automatically start working on it as soon as they sit down at their desk. They do not decide whether to eat healthy food. They automatically choose healthy options because that is what they always do. This automation happens through a neurological process called myelination. When you repeat a behavior consistently, your brain wraps the neural pathway in a substance called myelin. Myelin acts like insulation on an electrical wire. It makes the signal travel faster and more efficiently. The more you repeat a behavior, the thicker the myelin coating becomes. The thicker the myelin coating, the faster and more automatic the behavior becomes. Eventually, the behavior becomes so fast and automatic that it fires before your conscious mind can interfere. This is the goal of invisible discipline. To build behaviors so deeply into your neural architecture that they happen automatically without conscious effort. But here is the challenge. Your brain will automate whatever you repeat consistently, regardless of whether it helps you or hurts you. If you consistently procrastinate, your brain will automate procrastination. If you consistently make excuses, your brain will automate excuse making. If you consistently quit when things get difficult, your brain will automate quitting. Right now, you have automated behaviors that are working against your success. You have neural pathways that trigger automatically and lead you toward comfort, distraction, and mediocrity. These pathways are strong because you have repeated these behaviors thousands of times. The good news is that you can build new pathways. You can automate new behaviors that lead toward discipline, focus, and achievement. But you need to understand how this process works. The habit formation process has 4 stages: cue, craving, response, and reward. The cue is the trigger that initiates the behavior. It can be a time of day, a location, an emotional state, or another behavior. The craving is the motivational force behind the habit. It is the desire for the reward that the behavior provides. The response is the actual behavior you perform. This is the habit itself. The reward is the benefit you gain from performing the behavior. It satisfies the craving and reinforces the neural pathway. Every behavior you have automated follows this pattern, and every new behavior you want to automate must follow this pattern. The key to building invisible discipline is designing this loop intentionally. Most people leave habit formation to chance. They do behaviors randomly when they feel motivated and then wonder why the behaviors do not stick. But when you design the habit loop intentionally, you can automate any behavior you want. The first step is identifying the cues that will trigger your desired behaviors. The most reliable cues are time and location. Doing the same behavior at the same time in the same place creates strong neural associations. This is why morning routines are so powerful. Your brain learns that certain times and locations trigger certain behaviors. The second step is creating immediate rewards for the behaviors you want to automate. Your brain is designed to seek immediate gratification. Distant rewards do not create strong habits. You need to engineer immediate rewards that satisfy your brain right now. The third step is removing friction from desired behaviors and adding friction to undesired behaviors. Friction is anything that makes a behavior harder to do. When you reduce friction for good behaviors and increase friction for bad behaviors, you make it easier for your brain to choose the right path. The fourth step is consistency over intensity. Your brain does not care how well you perform a behavior. It only cares whether you perform it consistently. A small behavior done every day builds stronger neural pathways than an intense behavior done occasionally. This is why invisible discipline is built through small daily actions rather than dramatic occasional efforts. When you understand the neuroscience of automatic behavior, you stop trying to be disciplined and start building discipline into your operating system. You stop relying on willpower and start relying on automation. You stop fighting against your brain and start working with it. Chapter 3. The 5 Pillars of Invisible Discipline. Invisible discipline is not one skill. It is 5 interconnected capabilities that work together to create automatic success behaviors. Most people try to develop discipline by reading motivation quotes and setting big goals. This approach fails because it does not address the underlying structure that makes discipline possible. Think of these 5 pillars as the foundation of a building. If any pillar is weak, the entire structure becomes unstable. You need all 5 pillars working together to create true, invisible discipline. Pillar 1 is environmental design. Your environment is more powerful than your willpower. The physical spaces you occupy, the people you spend time with, the information you consume, and the systems you have in place either support discipline or undermine it. Most people try to be disciplined in environments that make discipline nearly impossible. They try to eat healthy while keeping junk food in the house. They try to focus while their phone buzzes with notifications every few minutes. They try to be productive while surrounded by people who waste time. This is like trying to swim upstream. You can do it for a short time with massive effort. But eventually, the current wins. People with invisible discipline design their environments to make the right choices automatic and the wrong choices difficult. They remove temptations rather than relying on willpower to resist them. They create physical spaces dedicated to specific activities. They surround themselves with people who model the behaviors they want to adopt. They control their information diet as carefully as their food diet. Environmental design works because it eliminates the need for decision-making. When healthy food is the only food available, you do not need willpower to eat healthy. When your phone is in another room, you do not need discipline to avoid distractions. When you are surrounded by productive people, you naturally adopt productive behaviors. Pillar 2 is identity alignment. Most people set goals based on what they want to have or what they want to achieve. But sustainable discipline comes from who you want to become. When your behaviors are aligned with your identity, they feel natural and effortless. When they conflict with your identity, they require constant force. Think about the difference between these 2 approaches. Approach 1 says, I want to lose 20 pounds, so I am going to force myself to exercise and eat healthy food. Approach 2 says, I am the kind of person who takes care of their body, so I naturally exercise and eat healthy food. The first approach requires willpower because the behavior conflicts with identity. You see yourself as someone who does not naturally exercise or eat well, but you are forcing yourself to do it anyway. The second approach requires no willpower because the behavior matches identity. You see yourself as a healthy person, and healthy people do these things. People with invisible discipline have aligned their behaviors with their identity. They do not try to be disciplined. They are disciplined people who naturally do disciplined things. This identity is not based on wishful thinking. It is based on evidence. Every time you do the behavior you are trying to automate, you cast a vote for the identity you want to build. When you go to the gym, you are casting a vote for being a fit person. When you do deep work, instead of scrolling social media, you are casting a vote for being a focused person. When you keep a commitment to yourself, you are casting a vote for being a person of integrity. You do not need to win every vote, but you need to win the majority. As the votes accumulate, your identity shifts. And as your identity shifts, the behaviors become automatic. Pillar 3 is systems thinking. Goals tell you where you want to go. Systems tell you how to get there. Most people focus on goals and ignore systems. This is why they achieve temporary results that disappear as soon as they stop trying. Systems are the daily behaviors and processes that produce results automatically without requiring constant attention and effort. When you have good systems, you do not need to think about your goals. The systems produce the results automatically. Think about your current results in any area of your life. Your fitness level, your income, your relationships, your productivity. These results are not random. They are the output of the systems you are currently running. If you are unhappy with the results, you do not need more motivation or bigger goals. You need better systems. People with invisible discipline are systems thinkers. They do not rely on bursts of effort or moments of inspiration. They build reliable processes that produce consistent results. They create morning routines that automatically start their day productively. They build work systems that ensure their most important tasks get done. They design relationship systems that maintain connection without requiring constant effort. They establish financial systems that build wealth automatically. The beauty of systems is that they work whether you feel motivated or not. Once the system is in place, it runs automatically. This is what makes discipline invisible. Pillar 4 is delay tolerance. This is your ability to choose long-term rewards over short-term gratification. It is the skill of feeling the pull of immediate pleasure or relief and choosing the difficult right thing anyway. Every moment of discipline is a choice between now and later. Between what feels good immediately and what produces better results eventually. Between short-term comfort and long-term success. Most people have very low delay tolerance. They cannot resist immediate gratification even when they know it hurts their long-term goals. They eat the junk food even though they want to be healthy. They watch the show even though they should be working. They avoid the difficult conversation even though they know it is necessary. This low delay tolerance is not a character flaw. It is a natural human tendency. Your brain evolved in an environment where immediate rewards were the only rewards that mattered. Waiting for future benefits was risky because the future was uncertain. But in the modern world, most valuable rewards are delayed. Fitness comes from months of consistent training. Wealth comes from years of consistent saving and investing. Expertise comes from years of consistent practice. Relationships come from years of consistent effort. Success in every meaningful area requires choosing future rewards over present comfort. People with invisible discipline have trained their delay tolerance. They have learned to feel the discomfort of delayed gratification without giving in to immediate temptation. They can sit with the urge to quit without quitting. They can feel the desire for distraction without getting distracted. They can experience the pull of comfort without choosing comfort. This does not mean they never enjoy immediate pleasures. It means they can choose delayed rewards when that choice matters. And they can do this consistently without requiring superhuman willpower. Pillar 5 is recovery optimization. This is the pillar that nobody talks about, but everyone needs. You cannot maintain discipline indefinitely without strategic recovery. Your willpower is a limited resource. Your focus has a maximum capacity. Your body needs rest. Your mind needs restoration. Most people approach discipline as if it should be constant and endless. They try to be productive every waking hour. They feel guilty about rest. They push through exhaustion. This approach always fails because it is not sustainable. You cannot sprint a marathon. People with invisible discipline understand that recovery is not the opposite of discipline. Recovery is what makes discipline sustainable. They build strategic rest into their systems. They know when to push and when to rest. They protect their sleep like a sacred resource. They take real breaks that restore their capacity rather than fake breaks that waste time. They understand that being disciplined about recovery is just as important as being disciplined about work. When you optimize recovery, you increase your capacity for discipline. When you ignore recovery, your discipline erodes slowly until it collapses completely. These 5 pillars work together to create invisible discipline. Environmental design makes the right choices easy. Identity alignment makes the right choices natural. Systems thinking makes the right choices automatic. Delay tolerance makes the right choices possible when they are difficult. Recovery optimization makes the right choices sustainable. When you build all 5 pillars, discipline stops being something you do and becomes something you are. Chapter 4. The Implementation System. Understanding the theory of invisible discipline is useless without a practical system for building it into your daily life. This is where most people fail. They consume information, feel inspired, and then do nothing differently. 3 months later, they are back where they started wondering why nothing changed. The reason nothing changed is that knowing and doing are completely different skills. Knowing what to do is easy. Doing it consistently is hard. This chapter gives you a systematic approach to implementation that removes the guesswork and makes building invisible discipline as straightforward as following a recipe. The system has 4 phases: foundation, automation, optimization, and maintenance. You cannot skip phases. Each phase builds on the previous one. Trying to jump ahead guarantees failure. Phase 1 is foundation. This is where you identify the specific behaviors that will create the results you want and remove the obstacles that make those behaviors difficult. Most people skip this phase and jump straight to trying to change their behavior. This is why they fail. Without a solid foundation, discipline is impossible. The foundation phase has 3 steps. Step 1 is results inventory. You need to get brutally honest about your current results in every important area of your life. Not the results you wish you had. Not the results you pretend to have. The actual results you have right now. Your current fitness level. Your current income. Your current relationships. Your current productivity. Your current learning and growth. Write these down in specific, measurable terms. Do not be vague. Do not make excuses. Just state the facts. This inventory is painful because it forces you to confront the gap between where you are and where you want to be. But you cannot fix problems you refuse to acknowledge. Step 2 is systems audit. For each result you inventoried, identify the systems that are producing that result. Remember, your current results are not random. They are the output of your current systems. If you are out of shape, what is the eating system that produced that result? What is the exercise system? What is the sleep system? If you are broke, what is the earning system? What is the spending system? What is the saving system? If you are unproductive, what is the work system? What is the focus system? What is the priority system? Write down the actual behaviors you currently do consistently, not what you wish you did, not what you used to do, what you actually do now on a regular basis. This audit reveals why you have the results you have. Once you see the systems clearly, the results make perfect sense. Step 3 is obstacle identification. Now identify everything that makes desired behaviors difficult and everything that makes undesired behaviors easy. What environmental factors trigger your bad habits? What people in your life undermine your discipline? What beliefs do you hold that justify your current systems? What fears stop you from changing? What friction exists that makes good behaviors harder than necessary? What temptations are too easily accessible? Make a complete list. The more specific you are, the more useful this information becomes. Once you have completed these 3 steps, you have a foundation. You know where you are, how you got here, and what is keeping you stuck. Now you can design better systems. Phase 2 is automation. This is where you design and install new automatic behaviors that produce the results you want. The key word is automatic. You are not trying to create behaviors that require motivation or willpower. You are trying to create behaviors that happen automatically, whether you feel like it or not. The automation phase has 4 steps. Step 1 is behavior selection. Based on your results inventory and systems audit, choose 3 behaviors to automate first. Not 10. Not 20. 3. Trying to change everything at once guarantees you will change nothing. 3 behaviors is enough to create meaningful progress without overwhelming your system. Choose behaviors that are small enough to do consistently but significant enough to matter. Working out for 2 hours is too big. Walking for 10 minutes is too small. Working out for 30 minutes is right. Step 2 is cue design. For each behavior you selected, design a clear, specific cue that will trigger the behavior automatically. The best cues are time-based and location-based. After I pour my morning coffee, I will do my planning session. When I sit at my desk, I will work on my most important task for 90 minutes. At 6 p.m., I will prepare a healthy dinner. The cue must be something that happens every day at a consistent time. It must be impossible to miss or forget. The more specific the cue, the stronger the habit. Step 3 is friction removal. Now engineer your environment to make the desired behaviors as easy as possible. If you want to work out in the morning, lay out your workout clothes the night before. Put your shoes by the door. Have your gym bag packed and ready. If you want to eat healthy, prepare meals in advance. Remove junk food from your house. Make healthy food the most convenient option. If you want to focus on deep work, put your phone in another room. Block distracting websites. Create a workspace dedicated to focused work. The goal is to make the right behavior so easy that doing it requires less energy than not doing it. Step 4 is consistency commitment. Now commit to doing these 3 behaviors every single day for 60 days. Not when you feel motivated. Not when conditions are perfect. Every single day, no matter what. The 60-day timeline is deliberate. Research shows it takes approximately 60 days of consistent repetition for a behavior to become automatic. Some habits form faster, some take longer, but 60 days is the average. During these 60 days, your only goal is consistency. You are not trying to be perfect. You are not trying to optimize. You are simply building the neural pathways through repetition. If you miss a day, you do not quit. You do not restart the count. You just get back on track the next day. But you do everything possible to not miss days because every repetition matters. Phase 3 is optimization. After 60 days of consistent execution, the behaviors should feel significantly easier. They are starting to become automatic. Now you can optimize. The optimization phase has 3 steps. Step 1 is performance review. Look at your execution over the past 60 days. Which behaviors have become truly automatic? Which ones still require effort? What patterns do you notice? What obstacles keep appearing? Be honest about what is working and what is not. Step 2 is system refinement. Based on your review, make adjustments to your systems. Maybe you need to adjust the timing of a behavior. Maybe you need to reduce friction further. Maybe you need to change the cue. Maybe you need to add accountability. Make small adjustments and test them for another 30 days. Step 3 is capacity expansion. Once your initial 3 behaviors are running automatically, you can add 3 more. Repeat the automation process with 3 new behaviors while maintaining the first 3. Over time, you build a collection of automatic behaviors that run in the background of your life, producing results without requiring conscious effort. This is invisible discipline in action. Phase 4 is maintenance. Even automatic behaviors need occasional maintenance. Life changes. Circumstances change. Your systems need to adapt. The maintenance phase has 2 components. Weekly review, where you check whether your automatic behaviors are still running consistently. If something has slipped, you diagnose why and fix it immediately. Quarterly audit, where you do a complete review of all your systems and make strategic adjustments based on what you have learned. This 4-phase system is how you transform from someone who struggles with discipline into someone who operates with invisible discipline. It is not complicated, but it requires patience and consistency. Most people want instant transformation. They want to change everything overnight. This impatience guarantees failure. Real transformation happens slowly through the compound effect of small, consistent actions. When you follow this system, you build something that lasts. You do not just achieve temporary results. You become a different person with a different operating system. Chapter 5. The Morning Advantage. The first hour of your day determines the quality of the entire day. This is not motivational rhetoric. This is observable reality. When you win the morning, you create momentum that carries through every subsequent hour. When you lose the morning, you spend the rest of the day recovering. Most people have no morning system. They wake up to an alarm they hate, grab their phone immediately, scroll through notifications and social media, rush through getting ready, and start their day already behind and reactive. This chaotic start creates a chaotic day. Then they wonder why they feel stressed, unproductive, and out of control. People with invisible discipline understand that the morning is the highest leverage time of the entire day. This is when your willpower is strongest, your focus is sharpest, and your ability to do difficult things is at its peak. Using this time for scrolling social media or sleeping late is like throwing away your most valuable resource. The morning advantage is not about waking up at 4 a.m. or following some extreme routine. It is about having a systematic approach to the first hour that automatically sets you up for success. Your morning routine should accomplish three things: establish internal state, complete your most important work, and create momentum for the rest of the day. Establishing internal state means consciously choosing how you want to feel and think rather than letting external circumstances determine your state. Most people wake up and immediately consume information: news, emails, messages, social media. They let the external world program their internal state. This is reactive living. Proactive living means programming your own internal state before you allow external inputs. The first 20 minutes of your morning should be dedicated to internal state establishment. This can include meditation, breath work, journaling, visualization, reading something inspiring, or physical movement. The specific activities matter less than the principle. You are taking control of your mind and body before the world makes demands on you. Completing your most important work means using your peak morning energy on the task that will have the biggest impact on your goals. Not email, not meetings, not busy work. Your most important, most difficult, most valuable work. Most people waste their morning energy on trivial tasks and then try to do important work when they are already tired. This is backwards. Your brain has the most energy and focus in the morning. Use it wisely. Block the first 90 minutes after your morning routine for deep work on your most important project. No phone, no interruptions, no distractions. Just you and the work that actually matters. When you complete 90 minutes of focused work on your most important task before most people even start working, you create an enormous advantage. You accomplish more before 9 a.m. than most people accomplish all day. Creating momentum means building a sense of progress and capability that carries you through the rest of the day. Momentum is psychological. When you feel like you are winning, you continue to make good decisions. When you feel like you are losing, you give up and make bad decisions. Your morning routine creates the feeling of winning. When you wake up on time, complete your routine, and finish your most important work, you feel capable and in control. This feeling influences every decision you make for the rest of the day. Here is a practical morning system that incorporates these principles. Wake up at the same time every day. Consistency matters more than the specific time. If you can wake at 5 a.m., great. If you wake at 7 a.m., that works too. What matters is consistency. Drink water immediately. Your body is dehydrated after sleep. Drinking 16 ounces of water first thing kickstarts your system. Do not touch your phone. Your phone is an input device that programs your mind with other people's priorities. Leave it off or in another room until after your morning routine. Move your body for 10 minutes. This does not need to be a full workout. Walk, stretch, do push-ups, just move. Movement increases blood flow, wakes up your nervous system, and creates energy. Practice mindfulness for 10 minutes. Meditation, breathing exercises, or simply sitting quietly. This trains your attention and establishes mental clarity. Write for 10 minutes. Journal about your intentions for the day, what you are grateful for, or what you want to create. Writing clarifies thinking. Review your goals and priorities. Spend 5 minutes reviewing what you are working toward and what matters most. This keeps you focused on what actually matters instead of getting lost in urgency. Eat a high-protein breakfast. Protein provides stable energy. Sugar and processed carbs create energy crashes. Complete your most important task for 90 minutes. Deep focused work on the project that will create the most value. This entire routine takes about 2 hours and 15 minutes. It establishes your internal state, completes significant valuable work, and creates unstoppable momentum. You might be thinking, I do not have 2 hours in the morning. Here is the truth. You do have the time. You are just using it on low-value activities. Scrolling social media, watching news, sleeping late. These activities feel like they do not take time, but they consume hours and provide no value. The real objection is not time. It is priority. You have not made your morning routine a priority. And until you do, you will continue to waste the most valuable hours of your day. Start by waking up just 30 minutes earlier and implementing a condensed version of this routine. As you experience the benefits, you will naturally want to expand it. The morning advantage compounds over time. One powerful morning creates a good day. 7 powerful mornings create a good week. 30 powerful mornings create a transformative month. 365 powerful mornings create a completely different life. This is invisible discipline in action. You are not trying to be disciplined. You are running a system that makes discipline automatic. Chapter 6. The Focus Protocol. Attention is the most valuable resource in the modern economy. Whoever can focus deeply while everyone else is distracted has an enormous competitive advantage. But most people have destroyed their ability to focus. They have trained their brain to expect constant stimulation and immediate gratification. They cannot sit with one task for more than a few minutes before reaching for their phone. They cannot think deeply about complex problems because their mind wanders constantly. They live in a perpetual state of distraction that makes meaningful work impossible. This is not an accident. Every app, website, and platform is designed by teams of engineers whose job is to capture and monetize your attention. They use psychological triggers, variable rewards, and social validation to keep you scrolling, clicking, and consuming. You are not weak-willed. You are up against billion-dollar companies whose entire business model depends on destroying your ability to focus. But here is what they cannot do. They cannot make you install their apps. They cannot make you check your notifications. They cannot make you scroll. You choose to do these things, and you can choose to stop. People with invisible discipline treat their attention like a valuable asset that needs to be protected and invested wisely. They do not let random inputs hijack their focus. They do not allow other people's priorities to determine how they spend their mental energy. They guard their attention ferociously. The Focus Protocol is a systematic approach to protecting and directing your attention. It has 3 components: elimination, concentration, and restoration. Elimination means removing the sources of distraction from your environment. You cannot resist temptation through willpower alone. You need to engineer your environment so temptation does not exist. Start with your phone. Your phone is the single biggest destroyer of focus. Every notification is an interruption. Every app is designed to capture your attention. Having your phone nearby reduces your cognitive capacity even when you are not using it. Delete social media apps from your phone. You can still access these platforms on a computer if necessary, but removing the apps from your phone eliminates the constant temptation to check. Turn off all notifications. accept calls and messages from important people. You do not need to know the instant someone likes your photo or comments on your post. Check these things during designated times. Keep your phone in another room during focused work. Out of sight is out of mind. When your phone is nearby, part of your brain is constantly monitoring it. This reduces your ability to focus even when you think you are ignoring it. Next, eliminate digital clutter. Close all browser tabs except the one you are working on. Close all applications except the one you need for your current task. Use website blockers to prevent access to distracting sites during work hours. Create a clean digital workspace that supports focus instead of fragmenting it. Finally, eliminate schedule clutter. Most people have no control over their calendar. They accept every meeting request. They allow interruptions constantly. They have no blocks of protected time for focused work. This makes deep work impossible. Block sacred time for focus. Put it on your calendar, like an important meeting. Protect this time ruthlessly. Batch meetings and calls into specific time blocks instead of scattering them throughout the day. Learn to say no to requests that do not align with your priorities. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to something important. Concentration means training your ability to sustain attention on a single task for extended periods. Focus is like a muscle. It gets stronger with training and weaker without use. Most people have atrophied focus muscles because they never train them. They switch between tasks constantly. They work for a few minutes, then check their phone. They start one thing, then jump to another. This constant task switching trains your brain to have a short attention span. Training concentration requires deliberate practice. Start with focus sprints. Set a timer for 25 minutes. Choose one task. Work on only that task until the timer goes off. No phone, no email, no switching. Just sustained attention on one thing. This is harder than it sounds. Your mind will want to wander. You will feel the urge to check your phone or switch tasks. Notice these urges, but do not act on them. When the timer goes off, take a 5-minute break. Then do another sprint. Start with 4 sprints per day. As your concentration muscles strengthen, extend the time. Move from 25 minutes to 50 minutes, then from 50 minutes to 90 minutes. The goal is to eventually be able to sustain focus on a single task for 90 to 120 minutes without breaks. This is the time frame required for deep work that produces breakthrough results. During focused work, use active engagement techniques. Talk to yourself about what you are doing. Ask questions about the material. Make connections to other knowledge. Take notes by hand. This active engagement keeps your mind from wandering and deepens your processing. Restoration means giving your brain the recovery it needs to maintain focus capacity. Your brain cannot focus intensely all day. After 90 to 120 minutes of deep focus, your capacity drops dramatically. Trying to push through leads to low-quality work and mental fatigue. After each focus session, take a real break. A real break means completely disconnecting from work and giving your mind time to rest. Taking a real break does not mean checking email or scrolling social media. That is not rest. That is switching from one type of mental work to another. Real breaks include walking outside, having a conversation, doing physical activity, or sitting quietly without inputs. The best breaks involve movement and nature. A 15-minute walk outside provides significantly more restoration than 15 minutes sitting at your desk scrolling your phone. You also need to restore attention between days. This means completely disconnecting from work in the evening and having at least one full day per week with no work at all. Working constantly does not make you more productive. It makes you less productive because your attention capacity never fully restores. When you implement the focus protocol, you develop an attention capacity that most people have lost. You can think deeply about complex problems. You can sustain focus for hours. You can produce high-quality work while everyone else is distracted. This is invisible discipline, creating massive competitive advantage. Chapter 7. The Energy System. Discipline requires energy. When your energy is depleted, your discipline disappears. You start the day with good intentions, but by evening you are eating junk food and watching Netflix. This is not a willpower problem. This is an energy management problem. Most people treat their body like it does not matter. They eat garbage food. They sleep poorly. They sit all day. They never exercise. Then they wonder why they have no energy and cannot maintain discipline. Your body is the vehicle that carries your mind through life. When the vehicle is broken, nothing works well. People with invisible discipline understand that physical energy is the foundation of mental performance. They do not just know this intellectually. They live it through systematic behaviors that maintain high energy levels. The energy system has 4 components: fuel, movement, recovery, and chemical management. Fuel means eating for stable energy rather than taste or convenience. Most people eat in ways that create energy crashes. High sugar foods spike blood sugar, then crash it. Processed foods lack the nutrients your body needs. Large meals divert blood flow to digestion, making you tired. The result is constant energy fluctuations that make discipline impossible. Your body runs most efficiently on whole foods with balanced macronutrients. Protein provides sustained energy and satiety. Healthy fats support brain function and hormone production. Complex carbohydrates provide steady glucose for energy. Vegetables provide micronutrients that your body needs for optimal function. A simple nutrition system is eating 3 meals per day built around protein and vegetables. Breakfast with eggs and vegetables. Lunch with chicken or fish and salad. Dinner with meat and cooked vegetables. Snacks of nuts, fruit, or protein shakes if needed. Drink water throughout the day. Dehydration causes fatigue that people mistake for lack of energy. Eliminate or minimize sugar, processed foods, and foods that cause inflammation in your specific body. This is not a diet. Diets are temporary. This is how you eat because you are someone who maintains high energy. Movement means using your body the way it was designed to be used. Humans evolved to move constantly. Hunt, gather, walk long distances, climb, carry heavy things. Your body expects movement. When you sit all day, your body starts shutting down. Energy decreases, mood declines, focus suffers, health deteriorates. You need 3 types of movement. Cardiovascular exercise to strengthen your heart and lungs. Strength training to build muscle and maintain metabolic health. Daily movement to prevent the negative effects of sitting. Cardiovascular exercise should be done 3 to 5 times per week. 30 to 60 minutes of elevated heart rate. Running, cycling, swimming, or high-intensity intervals. This builds your aerobic base and stress tolerance. Strength training should be done 2 to 4 times per week. Full-body resistance training that challenges your major muscle groups. This maintains muscle mass, bone density, and metabolic rate. Daily movement means walking at least 10,000 steps per day. Stand frequently if you work at a desk. Take stairs instead of elevators. Move your body throughout the day. The specific program matters less than consistency. Find activities you can sustain long-term and do them regularly. Recovery means giving your body the sleep it needs to restore energy and function optimally. Sleep is not optional. It is not a luxury. It is a biological necessity. When you do not sleep enough, everything suffers. Your focus declines. Your willpower depletes faster. Your emotional regulation fails. Your physical health deteriorates. Most adults need 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. Not time in bed. Time actually sleeping. Quality sleep requires several conditions. Complete darkness. Even small amounts of light disrupt melatonin production and sleep quality. Cool temperature. Your body needs to drop its core temperature to sleep well. 65 to 68 degrees is optimal. Consistent schedule. Going to bed and waking up at the same time every day regulates your circadian rhythm. No screens before bed. Blue light from phones and computers suppresses melatonin and makes it harder to fall asleep. No caffeine after early afternoon. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours. Consuming it late affects your sleep, even if you do not realize it. No alcohol close to bedtime. Alcohol might make you drowsy, but it severely disrupts sleep quality. Create a bedroom environment dedicated to sleep only. Not work, not entertainment, just sleep. Chemical management means being intentional about the substances you consume and how they affect your energy and performance. Caffeine is the most commonly used performance drug. Used correctly, it can enhance focus and energy. Used incorrectly, it creates dependency, anxiety, and energy crashes. If you use caffeine, consume it strategically. Wait 90 minutes after waking before your first caffeine. This allows your natural cortisol rhythm to work. Limit total intake to 200 to 400 milligrams per day. Cut off consumption 8 to 10 hours before bed. Alcohol is a performance destroyer. It disrupts sleep, impairs recovery, affects mood, and reduces cognitive function. The temporary relaxation is not worth the performance cost. If you drink, do so rarely and minimally. Sugar is an energy destabilizer. It creates spikes and crashes that make consistent energy impossible. Minimize added sugar in your diet. Other substances like nicotine, recreational drugs, and unnecessary medications all affect your energy system. Be honest about what you consume and why. Most substance use is coping with stress or boredom rather than genuinely enhancing your life. When you implement the energy system, you maintain high stable energy throughout the day. You do not crash in the afternoon. You do not need stimulants to function. You have the physical capacity to do difficult things consistently. This is invisible discipline, supported by biological optimization. Chapter 8. The completion habit. Starting is easy. Everyone starts. Finishing is hard. This is why most people have dozens of half-completed projects, partially read books, and abandoned goals. They are good at beginning and terrible at completing. Completion is a skill. And like any skill, it can be trained. People with invisible discipline finish what they start, not because they are more motivated, not because their projects are easier, but because they have built the completion habit. The completion habit is the automatic tendency to finish tasks and projects once you start them. This habit creates enormous advantages. First, completion builds confidence. Every time you finish something, you prove to yourself that you are capable of seeing things through. This evidence-based confidence makes you more likely to start difficult projects because you trust yourself to complete them. Second, completion builds reputation. People notice who finishes and who does not. Finishers get opportunities that starters do not because others know they can be counted on to deliver. Third, completion creates results. Partial work creates no value. A half-written book helps nobody. A partially built business makes no money. Only completed work creates actual results. Most people fail at completion because they start too many things. They get excited about a new idea and abandon their current project to chase it. They spread their energy across multiple initiatives and complete none of them. The first rule of completion is limiting work in progress. You should have one primary project that receives the majority of your focus and energy. Not 5 projects, not 10 projects. 1. This does not mean you can only work on one thing ever. It means you complete one thing before starting another. Sequential, rather than parallel. The second rule of completion is breaking large projects into small daily actions. Large projects feel overwhelming. You cannot write a book in one sitting. You cannot build a business in one day. The size creates paralysis. But you can write 500 words today. You can complete one sales call today. You can finish one task today. When you break the large project into small daily actions, completion becomes manageable. The third rule is the daily minimum viable progress. This is the smallest amount of work that constitutes real progress on your project. For writing, it might be 500 words. For fitness, it might be 30 minutes of exercise. For business, it might be one prospecting call. Define your daily minimum for your primary project. Then complete that minimum every single day without exception. The key word is minimum. Some days you will do more. Some days you will only do the minimum. But you never do less than the minimum. This consistency ensures the project moves forward continuously. Even slow progress compounds into completion. The fourth rule is the completion momentum principle. The closer you get to finishing, the more momentum you should apply. Most people do the opposite. They start strong, then fade. They get 90% done, then lose interest. They almost finish, then stop. This is why they have a collection of nearly complete projects that never quite finish. When you are 80% done with a project, increase your effort. Push harder. Allocate more time. Focus more intensely. Use the proximity to completion as motivation to sprint to the finish line. The fifth rule is the public commitment. Tell other people about your project and your completion timeline. This external accountability makes you more likely to follow through. Most people keep their projects secret because they are afraid of failing publicly. But this secrecy removes accountability and makes quitting easier. You do not need to broadcast to the world. Tell a few people who will hold you accountable. Give them permission to ask about your progress. The sixth rule is celebrating completion. When you finish a project, acknowledge the accomplishment. Do something to mark the completion. Tell people about it. Reward yourself appropriately. Most people finish something, then immediately move to the next thing without acknowledgement. This teaches your brain that completion does not matter. Celebrating completion reinforces the behavior and makes you more likely to complete future projects. The completion habit compounds over time. The first few completions are difficult, but each completion makes the next one easier. Eventually, not finishing feels wrong. You become someone who finishes things. And people who finish things have completely different life trajectories than people who start things. Chapter 9. The Social Architecture of Success. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This statement has become cliché, but it is completely true. The people around you influence your beliefs, behaviors, standards, and results more than any other factor. If you spend time with disciplined people, you become more disciplined. If you spend time with lazy people, you become lazier. If you spend time with successful people, you adopt successful behaviors. If you spend time with mediocre people, you adopt mediocre behaviors. This is not opinion. This is neuroscience. Your brain has mirror neurons that automatically mimic the behaviors and emotional states of people around you. You unconsciously adopt the speech patterns, body language, attitudes, and habits of your social group. This is how humans learn and adapt. But it also means your social environment is either pulling you up or pulling you down. Most people choose relationships based on comfort, history, or convenience. They stay friends with people from childhood, even when those people have completely different values and trajectories. They spend time with coworkers because they are available. They tolerate toxic relationships because ending them feels difficult. Then they wonder why they cannot make progress on their goals. Your social environment might be the biggest factor holding you back. People with invisible discipline are ruthless about their social architecture. They design their social environment intentionally to support the person they are becoming, rather than reinforce the person they used to be. This does not mean being fake or abandoning everyone. It means being strategic about where you invest your time and energy. The first principle of social architecture is the 3-tier relationship model. You have 3 tiers of relationships that serve different purposes. Tier 1 is your inner circle. These are the 3 to 5 people who have the most influence on your daily life. They should be people who embody the qualities you want to develop. They should challenge you to grow. They should have higher standards than you currently have. Choose your inner circle carefully. Spend significant time with these people. Learn from them. Model their behaviors. Let them raise your standards. Tier 2 is your broader network. These are the 20 to 30 people you interact with regularly, but not daily. They should be positive, growth-oriented people who are working on meaningful goals. You do not need to be as selective with Tier 2, but you should still ensure these relationships are generally positive and supportive. Tier 3 is everyone else. Acquaintances, distant friends, social connections. These relationships are fine, but should not consume significant time or energy. The mistake most people make is spending too much time in Tier 3 and too little time in Tier 1. They spread their social energy across dozens of shallow relationships instead of investing deeply in a few high-quality relationships. Invest most heavily in Tier 1. These relationships have the highest return. The second principle is the energy audit. Evaluate each significant relationship based on how you feel after spending time with that person. Do you feel energized, inspired, and motivated? Or do you feel drained, discouraged, and depleted? Some people are energy creators. They make you better. They believe in you. They challenge you constructively. They celebrate your wins. They support you during difficulties. Other people are energy vampires. They complain constantly. They are negative about everything. They criticize your ambitions. They are threatened by your success. They create drama. You need to minimize time with energy vampires and maximize time with energy creators. This might mean difficult conversations or ended friendships, but your growth is more important than maintaining comfortable relationships that hold you back. The third principle is the mutual elevation pact. Your closest relationships should be based on mutual commitment to growth. You are not just friends who hang out. You are partners who push each other to become better. Create explicit agreements with your inner circle about how you will support each other. Check in regularly about goals and progress. Hold each other accountable. Celebrate wins together. Provide honest feedback when needed. This level of intentionality in relationships is rare. Most friendships are passive. You hang out and have fun, but never actually help each other grow. Relationships built on mutual elevation are more valuable than a dozen casual friendships. The fourth principle is strategic relationship building. Do not wait for the right relationships to appear. Actively seek people who are where you want to be or who are pursuing similar goals. How do you find these people? Go where they gather. If you want to be more fit, join fitness communities. If you want to build a business, join entrepreneurship groups. If you want to be more creative, join creative communities. When you find someone impressive, initiate connection. Reach out. Ask questions. Offer value. Most successful people are willing to help people who are genuinely interested and respectful. Build relationships by providing value first. Do not just take. Give. Help. Contribute. Make yourself useful. When you consistently provide value, people naturally want reciprocal relationships. The fifth principle is the boundary imperative. You need clear boundaries about what behaviors you will and will not tolerate in your relationships. If someone consistently disrespects your boundaries, criticizes your goals, or creates unnecessary drama, you need to limit that relationship regardless of history or obligation. This does not mean being harsh or cruel. It means being clear about your standards and following through. Most people have weak boundaries and allow others to treat them poorly. Then they wonder why their relationships are unsatisfying. Strong boundaries create healthy relationships. When people know your standards, they either rise to meet them or they exit your life. Either outcome is positive. Your social architecture is one of the most important investments you can make. The right relationships make everything easier. The wrong relationships make everything harder. Choose carefully. Chapter 10. The Anti-Fragile Mindset. Most people are fragile. Small setbacks devastate them. Criticism crushes them. Failure makes them quit. Uncertainty paralyzes them. They are like glass that shatters when struck. Some people are resilient. Setbacks do not destroy them. They recover and return to baseline. They are like rubber that bounces back when struck. But the highest level is anti-fragile. These people do not just survive adversity. They become stronger because of it. They are like muscles that grow when stressed. They actively benefit from challenge and chaos. Anti-fragility is not natural. Your brain evolved to avoid pain and seek comfort. But in the modern world, where physical threats are rare, this tendency keeps you weak and fragile. You avoid difficult conversations. You quit when things get hard. You stay in your comfort zone. This avoidance feels safe, but it makes you progressively weaker. People with invisible discipline have developed anti-fragile mindsets. They do not just tolerate difficulty. They seek it because they know difficulty makes them stronger. The anti-fragile mindset has several components. First is the discomfort-seeking orientation. Most people organize their lives to minimize discomfort. They avoid difficult tasks. They take the easy path. They stay where things are comfortable. This comfort-seeking makes them progressively less capable of handling discomfort. Anti-fragile people regularly expose themselves to voluntary discomfort, cold showers, difficult workouts, challenging conversations, hard projects, public speaking. They do not do these things because they enjoy them. They do them because discomfort is training. Every time you voluntarily face discomfort, you build your capacity to handle unavoidable discomfort. When unexpected difficulties arise, you are prepared because you have been training. Second is the failure reframing ability. Fragile people see failure as evidence of inadequacy. When they fail, their identity is threatened. They interpret failure as proof they are not good enough. This makes failure devastating and causes them to avoid situations where failure is possible. Anti-fragile people see failure as information and training. Failure tells them what did not work so they can adjust. Failure builds resilience so future failures are easier to handle. Failure is not a reflection of their worth. It is feedback about their approach. This reframe makes failure useful rather than devastating. They can take risks, experiment, and push boundaries because failure does not threaten their identity. Third is the obstacle transformation skill. Fragile people see obstacles as reasons to quit. The obstacle proves the goal is impossible or not meant to be. They use obstacles as justification for giving up. Anti-fragile people see obstacles as the path. The obstacle is not blocking the way. The obstacle is the way. Overcoming obstacles is how you develop the capabilities required for success. If your goal is to build a business and you face financial obstacles, those obstacles force you to learn financial management. If your goal is to get fit and you face time constraints, those constraints force you to learn efficiency. The obstacle develops the exact skills you need. This is not positive thinking. This is accurate thinking. Obstacles do force capability development if you engage with them rather than avoid them. Fourth is the uncertainty comfort capacity. Fragile people need certainty. They need to know exactly how things will turn out before they take action. This need for certainty keeps them stuck because worthwhile goals are always uncertain. Anti-fragile people are comfortable with uncertainty. They can take action toward goals without knowing exactly how they will achieve them. They can handle the discomfort of not knowing what will happen. This comfort with uncertainty allows them to pursue ambitious goals that fragile people avoid. They understand that you figure it out as you go, rather than figuring it all out before you start. Fifth is the identity flexibility trait. Fragile people have rigid identities. They define themselves in fixed ways. I am not good at this. I am not that type of person. This cannot change. These rigid definitions create fragility because when circumstances require change, their identity prevents adaptation. Anti-fragile people have flexible identities. They see themselves as constantly evolving. They are not fixed. They are becoming. This flexibility allows them to adapt to changing circumstances without identity crisis. When they need to develop new skills, they do not say, "That is not me." They say, "I am becoming someone who can do that." Sixth is the long-time horizon perspective. Fragile people focus on short-term comfort and immediate results. When they do not see quick progress, they quit. When something is uncomfortable now, they avoid it regardless of long-term consequences. Antifragile people optimize for long-term outcomes. They can tolerate short-term discomfort for long-term gain. They can persist through periods of no visible progress because they understand that meaningful results take time. This long time horizon creates persistence that fragile people cannot match. Building an anti-fragile mindset requires deliberately seeking situations that challenge you. Do hard things regularly. Have difficult conversations. Take calculated risks. Put yourself in uncertain situations. Fail at things publicly. Train your nervous system to handle stress without breaking. Over time, you develop genuine confidence that comes from knowing you can handle whatever happens. Not because nothing bad will happen, but because you have trained yourself to grow stronger from adversity. This is invisible discipline at the deepest level. Not just controlling your actions, but transforming how you relate to difficulty itself. Chapter 11. The Momentum Machine. Success is not linear. It compounds. Small actions taken consistently create momentum that makes future actions easier and more effective. This is why people who are already successful find it easier to continue succeeding, while people who are struggling find it hard to gain traction. Momentum works like physics. An object in motion stays in motion. An object at rest stays at rest. When you have momentum, progress feels natural and achievable. When you lack momentum, even small actions feel overwhelmingly difficult. Most people wait for motivation to create momentum, but this is backwards. Momentum creates motivation. When you have forward progress, you feel motivated to continue. When you have no progress, you feel unmotivated regardless of how badly you want the goal. People with invisible discipline do not wait for momentum. They create it deliberately through systematic action. The momentum machine has 4 gears. Gear 1 is the minimum viable action. When you have no momentum, large actions feel impossible. The gap between where you are and where you want to be feels insurmountable. The solution is making the action so small that resistance is impossible. If you want to start exercising but have no momentum, do not plan an hour workout. Plan a 5-minute walk. If you want to start a business but have no momentum, do not try to build the entire business model. Just write down one idea. If you want to improve a relationship but have no momentum, do not plan a deep conversation. Just send one kind message. The minimum viable action is small enough that you cannot fail to do it. This creates the first bit of momentum. Once you complete the minimum viable action, you have proof that you can take action. This proof makes the next action easier. Gear 2 is the daily win. Momentum requires consistency. One big action followed by nothing creates no momentum. Small actions done daily create massive momentum. Define what constitutes a win for your primary goal. Then achieve that win every single day. The daily win should be challenging enough to feel significant, but achievable enough that you can maintain consistency. For writing, a daily win might be 500 words. For fitness, it might be 30 minutes of exercise. For business, it might be one prospecting action. Complete your daily win before you do anything else. Make it non-negotiable. When you string together multiple daily wins, momentum builds exponentially. Day 1 feels hard. Day 7 feels easier. Day 30 feels automatic. By day 90, not doing it feels wrong. Gear 3 is the visible progress tracking. Momentum is psychological. You need to see your progress to feel momentum. Most people make progress, but do not track it. Without visible evidence of progress, they feel like they are not making any. Then they lose motivation and quit. Track your daily wins visually. Use a calendar and mark each day you complete your win with a big X. Use a spreadsheet and watch the numbers accumulate. Use a jar and add a marble each day. The specific method matters less than having something visible that shows your streak. This visible tracking creates two benefits. First, you get satisfaction from seeing your progress. Second, you do not want to break the streak. Both of these psychological forces create momentum. Gear 4 is the incremental escalation. Once you have established consistency with your minimum viable action and daily wins, gradually increase the difficulty. If you started with 5-minute walks, move to 10 minutes, then 15. Then add jogging intervals. The escalation should be gradual. 10% increases are good. The goal is to challenge yourself slightly more without overwhelming yourself. This gradual escalation is how you go from beginner to expert. Small improvements compounded over time create transformation. The key is never breaking the chain. You can reduce intensity when necessary, but you maintain the daily consistency. If you are sick, you do a reduced version. If you are traveling, you adapt, but you do not skip. Every skip creates negative momentum. One skip makes the next skip easier. 2 skips make quitting feel acceptable. Protect your streak like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. Your momentum is the difference between achieving your goals and staying stuck. When you operate the momentum machine correctly, progress becomes inevitable. You are not relying on motivation or willpower. You are leveraging the compound effect of consistent action. This is invisible discipline producing visible results. Chapter 12. The Decision Framework. Every day, you make thousands of decisions. Most are small and automatic, but some are significant and impact your long-term trajectory. Your decision-making quality determines your results quality. Good decisions compound into good outcomes. Bad decisions compound into bad outcomes. Most people make decisions based on emotion, convenience, or what feels right in the moment. This approach creates inconsistent results because feelings are unreliable guides. People with invisible discipline use systematic decision frameworks that produce consistently good decisions regardless of emotion or circumstance. The decision framework has 5 filters that every important decision should pass through. Filter 1 is the future self-test. Before making any significant decision, ask yourself this question: will my future self thank me for this decision or regret it? Most people optimize for their current self. They choose what feels good now without considering future consequences. This creates a pattern of choices that feel good immediately, but create problems later. Antifragile people optimize for their future self. They make choices that their future self will appreciate even when those choices are uncomfortable now. Should you eat the unhealthy food? Ask your future self. Should you skip the workout? Ask your future self. Should you avoid the difficult conversation? Ask your future self. Should you take the shortcut instead of doing the work properly? Ask your future self. Your future self almost always wants you to choose the harder right thing over the easier wrong thing. When you consistently choose for your future self, you create a life trajectory that keeps improving. Filter 2 is the values alignment check. You should have clearly defined values. 3 to 5 principles that represent what you stand for and who you want to be. Every important decision should align with these values. If a decision conflicts with your values, it is automatically wrong, regardless of potential benefits. Most people have vague values that they ignore when convenient. They say they value family, but work constantly. They say they value health, but eat terribly. They say they value integrity, but cut corners. This misalignment creates internal conflict and erodes self-respect. When you make decisions that align with your values consistently, you build integrity and inner strength. When you make decisions that conflict with your values, you weaken yourself from the inside. Filter 3 is the opportunity cost analysis. Every decision to do something is simultaneously a decision not to do something else. Saying yes to one thing means saying no to other things. Most people do not consider opportunity cost. They evaluate decisions in isolation. Should I do this thing? If it seems good, they say yes without considering what they are giving up. People with strong decision frameworks always ask, what am I saying no to if I say yes to this? What am I giving up? What will I not have time for? Is this worth the trade-off? Often things that seem appealing become unappealing when you consider opportunity cost. That social obligation might be fine in isolation, but not when you realize it means missing time with your children. That new project might be interesting, but not when you realize it means abandoning your primary goal. Filter 4 is the reversibility assessment. Some decisions are easily reversible. If you do not like the outcome, you can change course quickly without major consequences. Other decisions are difficult or impossible to reverse. They commit you to a path that is hard to exit. Reversible decisions can be made quickly with less analysis. If you can easily undo it, the risk is low. Make the decision and move forward. Irreversible decisions require more careful consideration. Before committing to something difficult to reverse, examine it thoroughly from multiple angles. This does not mean being paralyzed by fear. It means being appropriately careful with decisions that have lasting consequences. Filter 5 is the regret minimization framework. Imagine yourself at age 80, looking back on your life. From that perspective, which decision would you regret more? The risk you took or the risk you did not take? The difficult conversation you had or the one you avoided? The uncomfortable action you took or the comfortable inaction you chose? This long-term perspective reveals that most people regret inaction more than action. They regret the chances they did not take, the things they did not try, the comfort they chose over growth. Using the regret minimization framework helps you make bolder decisions that you will be proud of later. When you run important decisions through these 5 filters, you make choices that serve your long-term interests and align with who you want to become. This systematic approach removes emotion from decision-making and creates consistent results. Most people let their current emotional state drive their decisions. They are anxious, so they make fear-based decisions. They are excited, so they make impulsive decisions. They are tired, so they make convenience-based decisions. A decision framework allows you to make good decisions regardless of emotional state. You do not need to feel motivated to make the right choice. You just need to run it through the filters. This is invisible discipline applied to decision-making. You are not relying on willpower or motivation. You are using a system that makes good decisions automatic. Chapter 13. The compound effect in action. Everything discussed in this audiobook works through the compound effect. Small actions repeated consistently over time create results that seem impossible in the short term. This is the most important concept in personal development. Understanding compound effects transforms how you approach goals and evaluate progress. Most people dramatically overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year and dramatically underestimate what they can achieve in 5 years. They want dramatic transformation immediately. When it does not happen, they quit. This impatience guarantees mediocrity. Real transformation is slow. So slow that it is often invisible from day to day. You look the same today as you did yesterday. You have the same skills today as yesterday. You have the same results today as yesterday. This lack of visible daily progress makes people quit. They think nothing is happening. But compound effects are not visible daily. They are visible yearly. Let me give you specific examples of compound effects. Reading. If you read 10 pages per day, that is 3,650 pages per year. That is approximately 12 books. Reading 12 books per year, while your peers read 0, creates an enormous knowledge advantage over time. After 5 years, you have read 60 books. After 10 years, 120 books. This reading creates compound knowledge that affects every decision you make and every opportunity you recognize. Exercise. If you exercise for 30 minutes per day, that is 10,950 minutes per year. That is 182 hours of physical training. 182 hours per year. While your peers do almost nothing, creates a massive fitness advantage. After 5 years, your fitness capacity, health markers, and body composition are in a completely different category than peers who did not train. Skill development. If you practice a skill for 1 hour per day, that is 365 hours per year. Research shows it takes approximately 10,000 hours to achieve mastery in complex skills. At 1 hour per day, you reach mastery in 27 years. At 2 hours per day, you reach mastery in 13 years. Most people never achieve mastery because they never practice consistently. They practice intensely for a few weeks, then quit. They never accumulate enough hours to create compound expertise. Financial investing. If you invest $500 per month, earning 7% annual return, after 30 years, you will have approximately $600,000. The first years feel pointless. Your balance grows slowly, but the compound effect accelerates. In year 30 alone, your money grows by $40,000. The same $500 monthly contribution that added $6,000 in year 1 adds $40,000 in year 30 due to compound growth. Relationship investment. If you have a meaningful conversation with your spouse for 20 minutes per day, that is 122 hours of quality connection per year. Most couples spend less than 10% of that in real conversation. Over 10 years, 122 hours per year creates a relationship foundation that survives challenges that destroy less connected marriages. These examples illustrate the power of consistency. The actions are small: 10 pages, 30 minutes, 1 hour, $500, 20 minutes. Anyone can do these things. But most people do not do them consistently. They do them when motivated. They do them when convenient. They do them until something more urgent or more fun appears. This inconsistency prevents compound effects. You do not get compound benefits from sporadic action. You get them from consistent action. This is why invisible discipline is the ultimate leverage point. When you have automated the consistent actions, compound effects are inevitable. You do not need to think about it. You do not need to be motivated. The system runs automatically and produces compound results. The challenge is having the patience and faith to continue when results are not yet visible. The first 90 days are the hardest. You are building habits and seeing minimal results. Most people quit during this phase. They decide it is not working because they do not see dramatic changes. But compound effects do not work that way. They start slowly, then accelerate. If you can persist through the first 90 days and build true consistency, the next 90 days are easier. By day 180, the behaviors feel automatic. By day 365, the results are becoming visible. By day 730, the transformation is undeniable. Everyone wants the results of day 730, but they are not willing to do the work of days 1 through 180. This is why most people stay stuck, while a small percentage achieves extraordinary results. The extraordinary people are not more talented. They just understood compound effects and had the discipline to stay consistent long enough for those effects to manifest. This is invisible discipline creating visible success. Chapter 14. The Sustainability System. Everything you have learned is worthless if you cannot sustain it. Most people can be disciplined for short periods. They can do an intense workout program for 30 days. They can focus on a project for a few weeks. They can eat healthy for a month. But then they burn out and return to old patterns. The problem is not that they are weak. The problem is that they approach discipline as a sprint instead of a marathon. They pushed too hard too fast and depleted their capacity. Sustainability is not about doing less. It is about structuring your life so you can maintain high performance indefinitely without burning out. People with invisible discipline do not have more willpower. They have better systems that make high performance sustainable. The sustainability system has 4 components. Component 1 is the recovery architecture. You cannot perform at high levels constantly without strategic recovery. Your body needs rest. Your mind needs breaks. Your willpower needs restoration. Most people ignore recovery until they are forced to recover through injury, illness, or breakdown. This reactive approach guarantees eventual collapse. Proactive recovery means building rest into your system before you need it. Daily recovery means taking real breaks during your workday. After 90 minutes of intense focus, take 15 minutes completely away from work. Walk outside. Talk to someone. Sit quietly. Do not check email or scroll social media. Let your brain actually rest. Weekly recovery means having at least 1 full day per week with no work. Not catching up. Not getting ahead. Complete disconnection. This day allows your nervous system to fully restore. Monthly recovery means having 1 weekend per month where you do something restorative. Spend time in nature. Travel somewhere new. Engage in a hobby. Something that fills your tank rather than depletes it. Annual recovery means taking real vacations. 1 to 2 weeks completely disconnected from work. Not checking email. Not staying connected. True vacation. Most high performers are terrible at this. They feel guilty about rest. They think rest is weakness. This mindset eventually destroys them. Rest is not weakness. Rest is what makes sustained high performance possible. Component 2 is the load management strategy. You have a finite amount of energy and capacity. You need to allocate it strategically, rather than trying to do everything at maximum intensity all the time. Identify your highest value activities, the 20% of actions that produce 80% of your results. Allocate your best energy to these activities. Do them when you are fresh and focused. For everything else, do the minimum necessary to maintain function without pursuing excellence. You cannot be excellent at everything. Trying to be excellent at everything leads to being mediocre at everything. Choose your battles. Pursue excellence in the areas that matter most. Accept good enough in the areas that matter less. This is not lowering your standards. This is being strategic about where you apply your highest standards. Most people waste their best energy on low-value activities. Then they wonder why they make no progress on high-value activities. Component 3 is the flexibility principle. Systems should provide structure without becoming rigid. Rigid systems break when circumstances change. Flexible systems adapt. Build flexibility into your systems by having multiple tiers of execution. Tier 1 is optimal execution. This is what you do when circumstances are favorable and you have full capacity. Tier 2 is minimum viable execution. This is what you do when circumstances are challenging but manageable. Tier 3 is survival mode execution. This is what you do when circumstances are terrible and you are just trying to maintain the streak. For example, optimal execution of your workout system might be 90 minutes of intense training. Minimum viable execution might be 30 minutes of moderate training. Survival mode execution might be 10 minutes of light movement. Having these tiers defined in advance means you never have to quit completely. When life gets hard, you drop to a lower tier. But you maintain the streak, and the habit remains intact. When circumstances improve, you move back to a higher tier. Most people operate in binary mode. They either do the full program or they do nothing. When circumstances make the full program impossible, they quit completely. This breaks the habit and destroys momentum. Having tiered execution maintains momentum through challenging periods. Component 4 is the mission connection. Sustainability requires meaning. You cannot maintain difficult behaviors indefinitely just because someone told you to, or because you think you should. You need a deep reason, that connects to your core values and sense of purpose. Why are you pursuing discipline? What larger mission does it serve? How does it connect to who you want to become and what you want to contribute? The clearer and stronger this connection, the more sustainable your discipline becomes. When you are exhausted and tempted to quit, your mission pulls you forward. When you do not feel like continuing, your purpose reminds you why you started. Without this deeper connection, discipline becomes hollow. You are just forcing yourself to do things without clear reason. This creates resentment and eventual abandonment. With clear mission connection, discipline becomes meaningful. You are not just working out. You are building the health that allows you to serve your family. You are not just working on your business. You are building something that solves real problems and creates value. You are not just developing skills. You are becoming someone who can make a meaningful contribution. Regularly reconnect with your mission. Write about it. Talk about it. Remind yourself why your daily actions matter in the larger context of your life. When you implement the sustainability system, you shift from short-term intensity to long-term consistency. You become someone who maintains high performance year after year, rather than someone who burns bright, then burns out. This is invisible discipline, optimized for the long game. Chapter 15. Becoming the person who does not need this book. The ultimate goal is not to be someone who has to consciously practice discipline. The ultimate goal is to be someone for whom discipline is automatic and natural. Someone who does not need techniques or systems because the right behaviors are simply who they are. This transformation happens through the process described in this book. You start by understanding the principles. You implement the systems. You practice the techniques. You build the habits. You maintain consistency. You persist through challenges. Gradually, the behaviors that once required effort become automatic. The actions that once felt difficult become natural. The person you were trying to become becomes who you are. At this point, you no longer need external systems and frameworks. They have been internalized. They are part of your operating system. You do the right things because that is who you are, not because a system tells you to. This is the ultimate expression of invisible discipline. Discipline so deeply integrated that it is invisible even to you. You are not trying to be disciplined. You are a disciplined person who naturally does disciplined things. But even at this level, vigilance is required. Complacency is the enemy of sustained excellence. The moment you think you have arrived is the moment you begin declining. There is no finish line. There is only continuous evolution and growth. Mastery is not a destination. It is a direction. People who achieve extraordinary results in any field are not people who arrived at mastery and stopped. They are people who committed to continuous improvement indefinitely. They never stop learning. They never stop practicing. They never stop refining their approach. This commitment to continuous improvement is itself a form of invisible discipline. So where do you go from here? First, acknowledge where you are, honestly. Not where you wish you were. Not where you think you should be. Where you actually are right now. Second, choose one system from this book to implement immediately, not all of them. 1. The morning system, the focus protocol, the energy system, the completion habit. Choose the one that will create the most impact for you right now. Third, commit to 60 days of consistent implementation. No exceptions, no excuses, just consistent daily execution. Fourth, track your progress visibly. Mark each successful day. Watch your streak grow. Fifth, after 60 days, assess your results honestly. What changed? What improved? What do you notice about yourself that is different? Then choose the next system to implement while maintaining the first one. Over time, you build a complete operating system of invisible discipline. You become someone who operates at a level that seems impossible to people who have not done this work. And here's the beautiful part. Once you have built this for yourself, you become a model for others. Your discipline inspires discipline in people around you. Your consistency creates permission for others to be consistent. Your results prove that this approach works. You do not need to preach or teach. You simply live it. And by living it, you demonstrate what is possible. The world desperately needs more people with invisible discipline. People who do what needs to be done regardless of feelings or circumstances. People who maintain standards when everyone else makes excuses. People who finish what they start. People who make good decisions consistently. People who keep commitments to themselves and others. People who can be counted on when things get difficult. Be that person. Not because it is easy. not because it feels good, but because it is who you are capable of becoming. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not talent. It is not luck. It is not opportunity. The gap is invisible discipline. And now you know how to build it. The question is, will you? Will you implement these systems? Will you maintain consistency through the difficult early phases? Will you persist when results are not yet visible? Will you become the person who does not need this book because you have internalized everything in it? That decision is yours. Nobody can make it for you. Nobody can do the work for you. But if you make that decision and follow through, your life will transform in ways you cannot currently imagine. 1 year from now, you can be a completely different person, not through dramatic overnight change, but through small, consistent actions that compound into transformation. 5 years from now, you can be operating at a level that seems impossible from where you stand today, not through luck or talent, but through the systematic application of invisible discipline. This is not a promise. This is physics. Consistent action produces compound results. The only question is whether you will be consistent. Everything you need is in this book. The principles, the systems, the techniques, the frameworks. Now it is your turn to apply them. Welcome to the small percentage of people who stop consuming information and start implementing it. Welcome to the community of people who build invisible discipline and use it to create lives worth living. Welcome to your transformation.